Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Shoshana and I give advice and guidance through the spiritual awakening. And I want to talk about passing through dimensions and the shaking that happens as we pass through dimensions. And what I mean by shaking is that as we go through and we start, because the spiritual awakening is also about an internal shift in our consciousness, an internal shift in our perspective, in the way that we even perceive the world, the way that we see things. And there is the old way of thinking while we were asleep, when we were in the matrix, in the run of life, running after superficial things. And then many times there is some kind of trigger or some kind of moment, some kind of defining moment that triggers the spiritual awakening. It could just be a random all of a sudden kundalini awakening, or something that triggers it. And many times it is when we run into something in life that we just hit a dead end, or we go through something that is very emotional. It could be the loss of a loved one, it could be the loss of a spouse, it could be the loss of a home, it could be something that foundational in our life that was jolted. And then all of a sudden, everything that we based importance on starts falling apart, and our identity does as well. And then we're left grasping, and then we're left seeing, well, wait a minute, there's more than this. This can't be it. This can't be what it's about. And that's what happens when we're holding on to the finite world, when we're holding on to things that are in the physical world. And as we move into the spiritual realms, we begin to see that there is nothing to hold on to. Everything is cause and effect, and everything is in constant movement, including myself. And the more open and fluid I remain, then the more fluid and fulfilling and meaningful my life becomes. And I'm not trying to force anything in a certain direction, because that is what this is. We're letting go. We're letting go. We're surrendering again and again and again and again. And as we go through these processes again and again and again, we have to, we find places in ourselves and we start healing in those areas. So as we go through the spiritual awakening, we learn the process first of all. So we learn how to deal with it. And the further we get along and the more work we've done, the more we can recognize that, okay, this is, also while I'm going through it, and while I'm in the depths of it, and while I'm in the pain of it, and while I'm in the ego death, you can identify the pattern in it. Okay, so I'm in the depth of this. I'm feeling those emotions. Those emotions are expanding me. There's something here. There's a lesson here for me. There's something I need to let go of. And the minute that we let go, the pain ceases. But in order to let go, we have to do the full process. There's many different ways to do this work. For some people, it's just letting go, knowing that, there's been places and on my own spiritual path that I have just let go without getting to the core of it, because understanding enough and the patterns of the work to know that there's something here I need to release, and that the healing is in the releasing itself. Because sometimes those things that were formed before we have memory in our minds. So some of the things we can dig at for eternity and not find the answer. But if we can get to a point where we feel comfortable enough to let it go, into where it's not going to haunt us, right? Because that is the point. If it's still back there haunting you, then you didn't let it go. If it's still back there haunting you, there's still something there that needs to be resolved. So you will have to identify within yourself the pattern that you take. And there's many different ways, many different roads that lead to the same place, and there is no right or wrong. The idea of it is doing the self-healing, however that looks. And in one time it could look like this, and another time it could look like this. So we can take different routes and different aspects, and it's kind of like a tapping. It's like we're rising in different places at different times. So it's kind of like we tap at this, we tap at this. We take this as far as we can until we hit a dead end, and then we move on to this. We take that as far as we have. We got more tools over here. We received more tools. Now we have more tools to come back to this one and rework this one. So it's kind of like we keep on going like that. And what I wanted to talk about is when we're passing through like a portal into the higher vibrational planes, or into the light, into the area, into enlightenment, into the new world, into a higher consciousness, it doesn't matter what you call it, heaven on earth. And so into a new perspective or a new take on life, into a new mindset. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's all the same thing. It's like all the paths are leading to the same point. The words don't matter as much as the work matters, and the setting yourself free of those boundaries and those glass ceilings, and finding those beliefs, and finding the beliefs that are false or not false. It doesn't matter, because if you want to live an intentional life, you want to know why you do the things that you do, and especially you even want to know what you're doing. Because many times we have these automatic programming going on from when we were 2 years old, some kind of belief that we formed. Oh, if I do this, then an adult will smack my hand. So I'm not so, and then we misinterpret whatever it was, and we say, okay, now I'm not allowed to be in expression. And then we're going through life without expression, and believing that we can't be in expression, because if we get expression, we're going to be shunned, we're going to be non-accepted, we're going to be repulsed. What is the word? Abandoned. We're not worthy. And so we form all these beliefs at such a young age, and many times they're formed around very immature ideas that we're not even aware that we did, and we're on this automatic mode, because once you put something into your belief system and you truly believe it, it's almost like you never pull it back out of there to reassess it. So if you put something in there when you were 2, and you've been running along and you've built so many layers on top of that foundation belief that you don't even know that that's what's running the whole storyline. You don't know that that's what's running your being. And I know that you know this. And what I really want to talk about is that shaking, because it's like a spiral. We're going through this portal, and we're in this higher state of existence, and we are holding our light, and we are understanding that there is more to life, and we're understanding, and many of us can't do normal jobs anymore, including myself, can't go, and give your time for a paycheck, or and you start having to find, we're still living in this physical body. We're still living in the physical plane. And the ultimate spiritual work is being able to apply the spiritual work into the physical and combine the two to where we are a fully functional being, not only in the higher realms, but also in the physical plane. So that is where your spiritual work gets to play out on. Everything is playing out in this physical plane. So whatever spiritual work you do and understandings that you have, if you are unable to apply them, then there is a gap. There isn't a bridge there between the higher realms and the physical plane. So we have to learn how to integrate the two, and then you will be living your highest timeline in all the different dimensions, including the physical dimension. And when we were raised in society today, it doesn't matter where you are, there is so much knowledge that was lost, spiritual knowledge, that the majority of mankind nowadays are living primarily in the physical plane, giving importance to the physical plane, because that is the plane in which we can see things. That is the plane in which we have immediate gratification. It is the plane in which, oh, I see it, so it's true. And the higher realms, you can see those too. As you go through this process, it becomes more real than this physical plane. You start beginning to see that the physical plane is just the outcome of whatever it is. So if you have a very chaotic life, it's because you have sporadic thoughts and sporadic beliefs. And if you have a mess in your mind, or you can't keep your head on straight, then you will have a messy surrounding. You'll start seeing the connections so profoundly. And there's a shaking as you go through, right? Because you can be in that high level, and then all of a sudden you have some kind of trigger in the physical world, and you're thrown down into your old ways of thinking. And you're thrown back down into working out some more baggage that you have that's holding you down into the physical world, that's holding your consciousness and anchoring it into the physical plane, which is the lowest vibrational plane. So you feel dense, you feel those negative emotions like stress and doubt and I'm not enough. And what I'm finding now in these times is that there is a breaking point. When you pass through to the other level, at first there's going to be shaking back and forth. You get thrown back down to do some more work. When you're down in this plane, you don't, that wasn't real. Was that really real? Maybe I'm in fairyland, maybe I'm in la la land, maybe I'm crazy. And then when you are in that elated state, you're like, I can do this. You feel empowered and knowing, and you have clarity. And in the beginning, as you're going through the portal to the new world or to the new consciousness or into your enlightenment or into whatever you want to call it, into the light of God, into your connection with the divine, into your highest timeline, into your state of connection to all. So as you are passing through, right, it's passing through in your consciousness or in your perspective, there are going to be shaking where you go down, you go back down, you come back up, you go back down, you come back up. There's going to be that shifting back and forth. And that is a pivot point. First of all, I want you to know that there is no point of return. Once you are on the spiritual awakening, when you are in the very beginning, you can fall back asleep or fall back into your old ways. But once you are on the spiritual path and you have had this enlightenment or a Kundalini awakening where you felt light shooting through your entire body, there is a point where you're awakening and you wake up. It is irreversible. You cannot go backwards. To go backward would be into living a complete lie and in denial of your own self. It's impossible. You can't do it. If you have gotten to this point and you're with me in this conversation, you understand what I'm talking about, then you are past the point of return. There is no return. And so first I want to let you know that it does get better. During the shaking period, it's like going through living hell, because there is such a big difference in between the elated states and the going backward states, and you feel like where's all the work I've done? Well, why am I going backward? Why am I slipping back into these terrors? It's like you go back into the stress and the contrast. We used to live here all the time, and so that was the normal, but now we already know the light. So when you slip back down, it's far more painful. It's painful of like falling out of heaven. It's like losing your light. It's like, oh no, was this all false? And not only do we think that we might be going crazy, our surroundings look at us like we're going crazy. They don't understand. Why can't you just be like everyone else? Everyone else can go out and work 8 hours a day. Why can't you go out and work 8 hours a day? They just don't get it. And what I am finding now is that it's like Bashar said, it's like two trains are meeting at a train station, and once they leave, they're leaving on separate tracks, and they are becoming further and further apart. And what I am finding is that there is beginning to be a cut in between the dimensions. So now is the time when there's so many people that are on this high-flying, enlightened mode, and there are so many people that are stuck in that dense darkness. And the ones that are stuck in the dense darkness, eating up the media and feeding off the wars, and in that constant stress, running after money, and in the gimme state, living in that complete matrix mentality, their suffering is so much greater, they don't even see that they're suffering. But not only is their suffering that much greater, they cannot even see glimpses of what the other train, they cannot see, cannot connect. So there is no middle ground anymore. And I'm finding that also within my life. That means that people that I used to be able to connect with, that I used to be able to have conversations with, that I used to be able to even speak spiritual aspects with, are falling further and further away from even being able to perceive what I'm saying. And it's like there's a cut. It's like now there is beginning to be a complete cut in between the two, to where communication is almost impossible. And I'm seeing this with loved ones in my life, people that I love and people that I care for, that all of a sudden, even simple conversation, it's almost like we just cannot see the same things. I cannot indulge, it's not even indulgence. I can't even be in those conversations anymore because I see it for what it is, and they cannot see my perspective or my take on it. And it's almost like the common ground was completely removed. And so it's like two trains that have already split, and there is no connection. And then the shaking is when you are on this track, but there's still places that you are not completely aligned. And whenever you hit some kind of stimulation in life that triggers that mechanism that is not in line with the cause and effect, that is not aligned with the all, not aligned with your higher self, not aligned with righteousness, is some kind of behavior, some kind of false belief, something that is not true, then all of a sudden you're shot over into this train of living hell. And then you work it out really quick, or you kick against quite a bit, and you get into that in the state of mode of pain until you find whatever it is and let it go, release it, surrender, allow the emotion to flow through you, and then and release it. Release that behavior, release that false belief, release whatever it is that is holding you on that train. And then you fly right back over. It's also like a rip, an internal rip, because a lot of you is still on this train. It's just that those wounded aspects, so it's like you get ripped apart from the inside because you're mostly here. And this shaking will subside after a while, to where even when you do hit some kind of stimulation, we're constantly expanding. So we are always going to be growing. So even as healed beings, we're still going to be growing, and there's still constant stimulation and forever where to expand to, and more knowledge and more understanding and more people and more worlds to collide with, and it's always going to be interesting. Only as you purify yourself, you can truly enjoy it, because you're not on guard from all of those places that you don't want the world to touch, right? Because when you're wounded somewhere, it's your shadow aspect, and you're guarding it so nobody will touch it. So you're afraid kind of to touch the world, because maybe it's going to touch one of your touchy places. Whereas when you are open, even if you still have wounds that need healed, but you're open because you're willing, because you know that you can do the work, you know that you're strong enough and you're capable. It's even sometimes just saying, I want it, and allowing yourself to say, okay, whatever comes, I allow it to come because I want to be healed. And then look at the mirror straight forward. Don't try to argue with it. Understand it. Sometimes the mirror is going to be coming at you awkward because it's coming at you through somebody else's wounds and the way that they see the world, and they're going to be pushing that onto you. But be willing for anything that comes at you to take a look and ask and assess it, and to see, am I off here, or am I on, and whatever else that's coming at me is off. So you have to be willing and open, and then you live your life to the fullest, because you live your life like this, with your arms wide open, just curious and open and face forward, eyes forward, willingness. So there is going to be shaking back and forth. You may start feeling like you're going crazy. There is going to be areas where you cannot go back to doing what everybody else is doing, and that is okay, because you are holding on to the new way of being. We're not meant to be suffering and being running after the dollar. That's just not, as a powerful being. That is not what we were meant to do. We were not. That is what society and being under the thumb of the hierarchy. I can't say the word, but under societal kind of pyramid, where there's a master sitting on top and putting fear down the pyramid so that everybody gets in line and everybody turns into soldiers and everybody turns into manufacturers, and we throw our kids in daycare from when they're 3 months old, if they're lucky. And so that is not the natural way of the human nature, and that is why, and cutting ourselves off from the ground with a rubber on the bottom of our feet, and living in constant stress and constant noise and constant fear of scarcity. That is not natural. There is no scarcity in the world. There only is. There's pure abundance. And with that being said, we still have to find our way. Even if we're all spiritual and high and mighty and up, we still have to find our way to make a living and to work and to provide for ourselves through the systems that are in place. Only as you rise above, you start seeing it as systems, and then you can play the system. It's almost like playing games. If you can look at the world like the entire world is a game. It's a big computer game with lots and lots of players, and some of them are NPCs, and some of them are really cool when you meet them. And some people are just walking zombies that are complete. And I say this with, I'm just saying, I'm having fun with it. Everybody has potential, but there's so many people that have been so turned off and not taught that they have a choice, or are so programmed tightly that it's almost like they're zombies. And I'm saying it with fun, and with, we're having fun with this, and saying it from a place of also having known it from inside. It's not, it is of no fault. But when we can look at the world like that, like look at it as a big playground, and we get to go out and do what we do, and make our life what we make it, and it all dependent on if we're playing the game like, nobody wants to play with me, and there's nothing I can do in this world, or if you're playing the game like you own it, and you do, because it's your lifetime. You get to say, as long as you are playing with the rules, which are cause and effect, not man-made rules, right? With God essence, then you are always right with God. Then you have all that power to you as well, because you're playing with things as they naturally work. Let's say if you have a square and you're trying to make it roll, then you're not playing with natural cause and effect, and you're going to have a clunky life. But whereas if you have a sphere and you're making it roll, then you're working with the natural way of things, and then you have all that more power added to your game. And so I hope that this was very clear. Point of this video was the shaking as we go through the spiritual awakening, and that cut, that we're now feeling that cut in between, and just know that you're on the right track. Even if everybody around you is telling you that you're crazy because they can't see it, if you can see it, know that it's true. There is a cracking now. There is a split now in consciousness. I can see this in my own life. People that just cannot understand and cannot grasp. And not only can they not grasp, they're also blaming and putting you down and telling you that there's something wrong with you because they cannot grasp where you are. So just know I'm just sending you out so much love and so much strength and a knowing and comfort on your journey. And this is tough enough to go through inside. And when you feel this bombardment, like the whole world is against you and abandoning you, and all of your core wounds are going to be triggered to the maximum. It can't be different. You cannot rise without going through the maximum of your core wounds and the maximum of your wounds. So no matter what, you're going to have to deal with yourself. So you might as well deal with it. It might as well come quick. Might as well come at me. Just give it to me. And it will never come stronger than you can take. So just know whatever comes, you are strong enough to handle, and you are strong enough to work through and capable of. And I'm sending you guys so much love and so much strength. And if you feel like you would like to talk with me one-on-one, my contact information is in my website below, so we can kind of look over what you're going through and kind of get perspective on it and kind of get set back on course. So I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you for watching, and until next time.